Good evening and welcome to Sunset News this Thursday evening. As always, we bring the news, community stories, economics, weather and sports. I am Glenn Rashipura. In the news tonight, as Namibia commemorates the Kasinga massacre today, the SWAPO Party Secretary General arrives at Okanjengeji in Oshana region to remember and pay respect to those who bled for the liberation of Namibia and those who were massacred in the quest for freedom and independence. Let's take a look at the commemoration. Human rights activist Philia Nangola has denied assertions that the Kasinga training camp solely housed refugees, saying SWAPO also used the camp to house commanders of the then People's Liberation Army of Namibia, notably Commander Dino Hamambo. Nangola made the remarks in response to a statement by President Hage Geingob that he had been instructed to visit the training center in the days leading up to the attack. Kasinga was a military and refugee camp. It was a transit camp. Dino Hamambo, a commander, was based there. There were also other commanders there at the same time. Nangola said, now militarily, it would justify the attack by the then South Africa Defense Force on the center. He said, from my point, it can be if somebody, a military person, if the SADF wanted to attack Plan, they can attack any place where a commander was. It was a military camp. Yes, Nangola said. Now, the South African Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which was set up by the Government of National Unity to help deal with what happened under apartheid in that country and Namibia, had also found it to have been a military training camp, Nangola said. Now, refugees were supposed to be housed far under the conditions of war. The refugees housed at Kasinga were meant to be housed far away from Plan commanders, he said. By war law, refugees should have been kept from military people. It was a violation of the law on war, Nangola said. Labour Minister Utoni Nauyoma also admitted to being stationed at Kasinga as a Plan combatant. I was there myself as a Plan combatant. All the commanders of Plan, General Martin Shali, as you heard him on television, who were there at the front while we had a refugee settlement, Nauyoma said. According to Nauyoma, Kasinga also served as a rendezvous point for SWAPO members who either chose to study further abroad or join Plan for military training. We had a refugee settlement for refugees that were coming from home so that they could be prepared for further education, and those that were prepared to join Plan so that they could also go for military training. So it was a purely reception center for our people who were fleeing the brutal apartheid system, he said. Nauyoma also justified the presence of military officials, saying it served as a deterrent to UNITA rebels. Former Namibia Today editor Aser Nitinta denied claims that Kasinga was a military training center when contacted by Namibian Sun. SWAPO spokesperson Hilma Nikano refused to comment, saying she had not seen Geingob's comments. Sharing his account, Geingob said his life had been spared by a nurse called Dr. Shinyafa. In 1978, just a few days before this massacre, I was on my way to join the comrades at the Kasinga Training Center, following Comrade Sam Nuyoma's directive that all leaders be trained militarily. I traveled from Lusaka, Zambia to Lumbango, Angola, and awaited my transport to Kasinga. One comrade, a nurse that we call Dr. Shinyafa, arrived with a truck but refused to take me to Kasinga. Geingob said of the fateful events surrounding Kasinga. Only a few days after this incident, Kasinga was attacked, and I realized that the refusal of Comrade Shinyafa saved my life, he added. Gingop spurred certain death on the morning of May 4, 1978. The SADF ran an airstrike on Camp Kasinga near the village of Kasinga, followed by a deployment of paratroopers. The camp was inhabited by exiled SWAPO sympathizers and their families. In our next story, MTC Namibia has been recognized for the top position as the mobile operator with the fastest internet speed in Namibia, according to user-initiated tests, the company revealed in a statement yesterday. According to MTC, it retains the title after it bagged the 2022 award for the fastest carrier in recognition of providing the fastest speed test for mobile and fixed network speed in Namibia for the third and fourth quarters of 2022. MTC Namibia achieved a speed score of 22.13, providing faster internet speeds to its users compared to other major mobile providers. The digital enabler also achieved the highest download speeds of 73.96 megabytes per second and upload speeds of 53.67 megabytes per second in Windhoek during the period under review. The statement read, our Chief Technical and Information Officer Monica Nehemia said this new award serves as validation that the company's efforts to provide superior internet services to the customers have been acknowledged and are on the right track. This award amplifies the ethos of MTC and speaks to our route to creating sustainable value for all our stakeholders through innovative digital solutions and a high-performance culture. If anything, it only says that we are on the right path and our work here continues to be recognized, she said. Countrywide Benefits MTC Managing Director Licky Erastus on the occasion said that the company aims to provide quality network connections to Namibia all over the country. Our aspirations as MTC Namibia is to ensure that every person across Namibia has access to and enjoys the benefits of a modern connected world, and therefore we continue to invest in our network with the latest technologies to ensure that we provide these services to our customers at a quality experience, he said. In addition, MTC revealed that Namibia since 2017 has invested $1.2 billion with the hope to expand its geographical network coverage to at least 90% countrywide. Only 33% of Namibians believe that the police often or always operate in a professional manner and respect all citizens' rights. More than half of Namibians say they felt unsafe walking in their neighborhoods. That's about 59%. And feared crime, that's about 52%, at least once during the previous year. According to a new Afrobarometer survey, feelings of insecurity and fear have increased sharply over the past decade and are far more common among urban residents and poor residents than their rural and better-off counterparts. A total of 29% of Namibians say they requested police assistance last year, while 43% encountered police in other situations such as checkpoints, identity checks, or traffic stops, or during an investigation. Among citizens who asked for help from the police, 38% say it was difficult to get the police assistance they needed, and 18% say they had to pay a bribe. According to the survey, it added that among those who encountered police in other situations, 19% needed to pay a bribe to avoid problems. Furthermore, 32% of Namibians say that most or all police are corrupt, while 64% say they trust the police somewhat or a lot. A majority of Namibians believe that police officers engage in improper and illegal activities. A total of 73% of citizens say that police at least sometimes use excessive force when dealing with suspected criminals, including 38% who say this happens often or always. Meanwhile, 65% say the police engage in criminal activities, including 28% who think this is a frequent occurrence. A further 28% of Namibians say the police routinely use excessive force in managing protests, in addition to 34% who say this happens sometimes. And more than half, 55%, say the police sometimes, often, or always stopped drivers without good reason. It further found that 57% of Namibians are critical of the government's performance in reducing crime. Only 42% believe the government is doing fairly well. In conclusion, Afrobarometer said that a growing number of Namibians feel unsafe in their homes and neighborhoods and think the government needs to do a better job of reducing crime. We'll be right back with your story of the day.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Let's take a look at our story of the day. Economists have voiced concerns that Namibia's corporate tax rate is high and could hinder the growth of small and medium enterprises and startup businesses. The tax rate has also been found to be too high by both regional and global standards. Namibia's corporate tax rate is currently 32% and does not fare favorably against its peers: Angola 30%, Botswana 22%, South Africa 28%, and Zambia 25%, as per data provided by auditing KPMG in Namibia. Namibia's corporate tax rate is also high when compared to the African average of 28% and the world average of 23%. Weighing in on the matter, Sirius Capital equity analyst Adrian Glazer said it served as a barrier towards job creation. Namibia's corporate tax is high by both regional and global standards. This serves as a material barrier to the success of small enterprises and job creation in Namibia, particularly given the operating environment of the last 8 years, Glazer said. Now, the recent announcement by Finance Minister Ipumbu Shimi over a reduction in the corporate tax rate was a positive development, he said. Namibia is expected to reduce the tax rate over the medium-term expenditure framework period. It is positive to see that there has been some shift in the approach to tax policy, particularly the Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises' commitment to reducing the corporate tax rate to 31% in 2024 and 30% in 2025, he said. Despite the planned reduction, the tax rate would still be high and thus impacted government revenue, Glazer said. These rates will still be high by regional and global standards. The impact on fiscal revenues will also be limited, as non-mining company tax revenue is among the smallest of the government's main revenue lines. Thus, there is room to do more, Glazer said. Tax policy one-dimensional. One way to address the high tax rate would be to implement different corporate tax rates per the size of respective business firms, he said. Namibia's tax policy is very one-dimensional. This can be improved by, for instance, staggering tax rates for different size firms, such as lower tax rates for small firms or startups, and scaling up with time as companies grow and or mature. This provides some indirect support in the early phases, which tends to be very capital intensive, he said. Furthermore, broader macroeconomic policy needs to be improved as well. Rather than after incentives for specialized or certain industries, we need to first ensure that the macro is correct, Glazer added. We'll be back after the break with your economic news.
Sy is Dirk Mat se dogter en het 19 jaar in die media wêreld deurgebring.
Ons is 'n baie geseënde familie. Ek is 'n ontspanne ma. Ek het my nie doodgedra aan nonsens nie.
Sjoe, dit moet lekker wees om vir haar as 'n ouma te hê.
Nou is sy afgetree en geniet haar kleinkinders terdee terwyl sy vrye teels aan haar ander passies kan gee.
Ons ry nou al vir 20 jaar, elke tweede jaar op 'n lang Afrika safari.
Ons kuier in Uit en Tuis se volgende aflewering by Krishna Greef.
Let's get into the economic news. Bank of Namibia Governor Johannes Gabagab has called for the development of a transparent legal and regulatory framework to govern the country's emerging oil and gas sector. The governor said the framework is needed in order to ensure a level playing field and root out the possibility of corruption or favoritism. He said Namibia needs to build competent and accountable institutions to ensure a level playing field for all actors operating in the industry, while the integrity of government institutions is vital to ensure the country maximizes the benefits of its oil industry. After the break, we get into your international news. Just stay with us.
Taking care of children can be one of the busiest jobs in the world. That's why CrècheGuard is here to give you a little help along the way. Start the day with CrècheGuard's immune syrup to help build a strong immune system. CrècheGuard also offers other tasty supplements, such as omega-3 chews to support brain development. And for healthy little tummies, look for CrècheGuard's range of probiotics that come in drops, sprays, and delicious choc bars. Trust in CrècheGuard every day for healthy little bodies and developing minds.
Let's get into the international news. A strong campaign in support of the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territory, Francesca Albanese, has emerged in response to an ongoing campaign to sack her. 3 former rapporteurs urged the UN on April 27th to publicly defend their successor, stating that she has been the target of attacks that have been slanderous and personal. In her second year in the role, Albanese tweeted on Wednesday she saw too many deaths of Palestinians, too much arbitrariness, zero accountability, and faced accusations against her work to uncover these abuses. Hideous words to hide a much more hideous reality. The Italian international human rights lawyer was appointed to the role on May 1st, 2022, the first woman to hold the position, monitoring the human rights situation in the occupied Palestinian territory, which was established in 1993. In the letter addressed to UN leadership, former rapporteurs John Durgard, Richard Falk, and Michael Link said they too were the target of such attacks during their terms, but the smears against Albanese are of greater ferocity and mean-spiritedness. The letter was written by South African Durgard, who served in the role from 2001 to 2008, American Falk 2008 to 2014, and Canadian Link 2016 to 2022, during our respective terms as UN Special Rapporteurs for Human Rights in the OPT, Occupied Palestinian Territory. The UN leadership did not do nearly enough to speak out against the unremitting attacks against US, that group stated. Now, the silence of the UN leadership in the face of these attacks only emboldened those organizations and individuals to continue with this behavior and to seek to throw mud at the mandate at every available opportunity. They added, Albanese has faced calls for her dismissal from multiple fronts, largely accusing her of making anti-Semitic comments and having an anti-Israel bias. In January, a bipartisan letter by 11 representatives in the U.S. Congress accused Albanese of old anti-Semitic tropes and called on UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk to remove her from her post. Other calls for her dismissal have come from Amichai Chikili, Israel's Minister of Diaspora Affairs and Social Equality, who in April accused her of having a bias against Israel. Additionally, Israel NGOs International Legal Forum and Monitor have joined the chorus of calls for her dismissal. After the break, we get into your weather.
The next days are not a measurement of time, but the distance from here to the finish line. For the race you are running, for your kids, your career, your health, your future. Not away, but towards it. While the voice in your head reminds you it won't be easy. But by simply swinging your feet towards the floor, you've taken the first step. Grow for it with Stamino Grow. 5-in-1 supplement available at all leading pharmacies.
Let's take a look at the weather predictions for tomorrow. Sunny and hot weather is expected in the north with Enana at 35 degrees and Ruacana at 34 degrees. Sunny weather is expected along the coast with a high of 19 degrees in Walvis Bay and 20 degrees in Henties Bay. After the break, we get into your sports news.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Let's get into your sports news. Angola with 14, 4 gold, 5 silver and 5 bronze is second, followed by South Africa 13, 3 gold, 6 silver, 4 bronze, Mozambique 8, Zambia 8, Botswana 4, Eswatini 3, Mauritius 2, Uganda 1, while the women's earned 1 gold more with 12, 5 gold, 3 silver and 4 bronze. Now 2 Namibian records were also broken. Olivier Durant improved his own record of 9 minutes, 6 seconds in the 800-meter freestyle for boys 15 to 16 years to 8 minutes and 45 seconds. Ainoa Nokosha set a new record of 10 minutes and 10 seconds in the girls 12 and under in the 800-meter freestyle discipline. The previous record stood for 9 years. Namibian footballer Willie Awilo Stefanus has announced his retirement from Brave Warriors. He took to his Instagram in a post saying that today the idea of international retirement has been running wild in my mind. It is with sadness and a heavy heart that I have decided to retire from international football. My decision is to retire from international football has been by far the hardest of my career. How do I describe what being a part of this country and team means to me? How do I articulate the impact it has had on my life? How do I put into words the way I felt every single time I put on that Namibian shirt? My answer is that I could possibly do any of those things just as simply with words. I know you feel what I feel without using any words at all. Manchester City's Erling Haaland scored his record-breaking 35th Premier League goal of the season to help secure a 3-0 victory against West Ham United that sent his side back to the top of the table on Wednesday. The Norwegian killed off a stubborn West Ham resistance when he dinged a delicate chip into the net after 70 minutes to break the record for the number of goals in a single season in the Premier League. The highlights follows shortly.
The next days are not a measurement of time, but the distance from here to the finish line. For the race you are running, for your kids, your career, your health, your future. Not away, but towards it. While the voice in your head reminds you it won't be easy. But by simply swinging your feet towards the floor, you've taken the first step. Grow for it with Stamino Grow. 5-in-1 supplement available at all leading pharmacies.
You are watching Sunset News. Let's take a look at the highlights from today's broadcast. Human rights activist Philia Nangola has denied assertions that the Kasinga training camp solely housed refugees, saying SWAPO also used the camp to house commanders of the then People's Liberation Army of Namibia, notably Commander Dino Hamambo. MTC Namibia has been recognized for the top position as the mobile operator with the fastest internet speed in Namibia, according to user-initiated tests the company revealed in a statement yesterday. Namibian footballer Willie Wailo Stefanus has announced his retirement from Brave Warriors. And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook, on all the NMH platforms on weekdays, as well as on our website, oneuptwo.com. Sunset News screens on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25 every weekday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. I am Glenora Shipura, and this has been Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.